Thank you very much, Michaela, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The next 10 to 15 minutes, I would like to talk with you and discuss with you about private markets in our geopolitical situation we see at the moment. And we all discuss why are we good in some areas of private markets and why are we less competitive in others. And maybe also talking about the reasons behind it and what can we do to change it, to amend it. And the first step to amend something, to change something, is to understand why the business is going as it is. Let's have a look at the geopolitical situation at the moment. Europe is squeezed between two giants at the moment. And it reminds me always of Games of Thrones, to be honest, right? Two parties fighting for the power, for the utmost power in the world. And the US and China, hopefully they will never have a physical conflict, direct physical conflict. Hopefully that's not going to happen. What we currently see is proxy wars in the Ukraine. We'll most likely see a proxy war in Iran in a couple of weeks down the road because the whole situation is escalating. But hopefully we'll not see a physical war between these two giants. But if we are squeezed between these two giants, war starts before a physical intervention occurs. What do we see first? We see tariffs, we see financial pressures, we see parties who try to control capital, try to block it in other areas, try to facilitate it in the other ones. And last but not least, technology. Each party tries to protect their critical technology, and that's what we see already now. And believe it or not, capital and technology are weapons. And I repeat this again. Capital and technologies are weapons. What do I mean by that? Let's assume the US government would force Microsoft, Apple, and Google to shut down all of the Germans' accounts now, in this minute, in this second. Everybody in this room, including me, would be screwed. Hopefully this is not going to happen. But this leads to the idea that technology is a weapon, and who leads in terms of technology has political power. And the question is, do we want to be, and let me put this bluntly, do we want to be, in terms of technology, a colony of the United States of America? And this is not only relevant for Germany, but for all Europe, right? And I'm saying this again. Europe, at the moment, is in terms of technology, a colony of the United States. Do we want that? Are we willing to accept that, or are we willing to do something about it? And if so, if we're willing to do something about it, what are the tools and triggers to do it? And one of the answers could be private markets. Why is that? So let's talk about the different asset classes in private markets. We have real estate. We need real estate, the building we're in here, to have universities, buildings to live in, buildings to produce something, buildings to innovate. We need real estate. Secondly, we need infrastructure. It's the backbone of our society, of our whole corporate identity, of our economy, a very important tool, the backbone of it. And we need venture capital to facilitate it and to facilitate innovation. And we need private equity to let business grow. And all of these private markets, if we're good in these, we have a very good edge in competing internationally and being not dependent from a capital standpoint and from a technological standpoint. Let's dive a little bit into the details. What can we provide as Europe? And believe me, Europe is really a powerhouse, a strong continent. And it's not weak as we always think. We have a large integrated market, a broad range of highly skilled professionals. We have stability, reliability, and the investors around the world, they love it. That's the reason why we are on top, number 1 or 2 on the list of their, let's say, investment criteria, on their list to invest in Germany and in Europe, because it's so stable, it's so reliable. Because what investors would like to see first is stability, and it's not innovation in the first step. And I come to the other one in a couple of minutes. So it's a strong powerhouse, but let's boil that down into the different asset classes. I said right at the start, we need real estate, infrastructure, venture capital, and private equity to facilitate growth. And let's talk about the different asset classes. I think real estate, we are pretty good in doing real estate. This applies to the construction companies doing real estate, just constructing things, and the equity funds that are financing real estate. The same goes for banks. Banks are willing to finance real estate. And I'm not talking about the current movement of the market, that's daily business. I'm talking about decades here. The banks are willing to finance that market, and the same goes for infrastructure. Maybe to a slightly lesser degree than real estate, but the allocation of institutional investors to both of these asset classes, it's pretty huge and significant. So in real estate and infrastructure, a stable business, we are good in doing that. But let's have a look at venture capital and private equity. The delta, the gap to the US in the venture capital business is pretty huge. And that's one thing for sure, a question of the sheer size of the market. The bigger the market, the more powerful it is. But there is still a gap, even considering the size of the markets, between the German and the European venture capital market and the US venture capital market. So we could rephrase it and saying, why are we exceptional in stability and why are we less convincing at innovation? The question is, why? And here I would like to give you a couple of thoughts touching upon unconscious bias, unconscious beliefs that sits with us. And they are even so embedded in our DNA that we're not conscious about it. What is this chart about? It's about federalism. It goes back to the Middle Ages, where we have all these different lords in the different regions being very powerful, making their own decisions. And even in 1949, when the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Germany was implemented, we confirmed that this is the way we would like to choose. We said, based on the experience we had in the past, we would like to decentralize certain decisions, to delegate it to the region and to the districts, to prevent excessive concentration of power. Based on the experience in the past, that's what we did. We confirmed it, we would like to have it that way. And the benefit is, of course, more resilience, a system of checks and balances. It is more stable, more reliable, but it comes to a trade-off of slower decision-making and more complexity. But we deliberately structured it that way. We deliberately structured it that way. And this stability, investors around the world, they love it, they appreciate it. Let me give you another example, the electoral system. And let's compare the US with Germany, for example. The US electoral system is made for the winner takes it all. So it's a majority rule. The party which gets the most votes gets full representation power in a specific district. Unlike Germany, and this just as a case study for many countries in Europe, where we have a proportional representation system, where parties get a seat in the parliament according to their vote. So everybody is taken in, right? So and if you would like to sum it up, it's stability and inclusion in Germany and Europe, and it's speed and decisiveness in the US. Is it bad or good to have either or? I'm not saying the either system is bad or the other system is good, but there are countless more examples. Let's have a look at this list here, coalition-based government. We have at the moment two parties running the coalition. And if one party is saying we go to the left, the other one is saying we go to the right, no movement, right? And the government before, it was even worse. We had three parties running the coalition and agreeing on a common goal and moving into one direction is difficult. And then the people start complaining about it and saying, oh my goodness, the politicians, they are completely blunt, they can't manage it. Are they stupid? No, they work with the system we designed many years ago. And so Germany is systematically designed to absorb shocks, distribute power, and include stakeholders. And while the people are always saying, they are too slow, it's not working, it's not a problem per se, it's an achievement. We designed it that bloody way. But now the problem kicks in. Why is this still not a good thing? And I'm not saying stability is not a good thing, but it's so deeply embedded in our culture, in our DNA, that we are not conscious about it. So we are not questioning anymore the federalistic system. Are there maybe, just to come up with an example, is it maybe worth to, like, getting a windmill approved, for example? It takes several years. And the decision is made by the districts and the municipalities across Germany. So you need to have the knowledge with public authorities across the different regions. It's not one centralized agency opining on this and facilitating it, scaling it, and being fast in it, but each region needs to have the respective knowledge to do that. And does it make sense to think about the federalistic system that we're not thrown out of the window? That's not what I'm saying. But thinking, amending it, upgrading it to a system that serves the needs better in a fast-moving environment. We need to take a decision. Which things are good and can stay, and which things should be upgraded, and those things which should be simply be thrown in the bin. Who knows what that is? Yes, a mobile phone. That was my first mobile phone. It's the old CNET. It came in a box. It was in the early 90s. And I was proud as hell walking with this one out of the office because you could go out of the office and still make phone calls. Was it an achievement at the time? Yes, it was. It was a bloody achievement. But today, it's absolutely worthless. So when we see this, we should throw it out of the window immediately and get another one, a left one here, but you know these small little phones we're using today. This is a part of history. Why is it so easy to see? We even see it by appearance that it's not a part of our daily business anymore. But what about the federalistic system? What about the electoral system? What about the co-determination, in German Mitbestimmung? Is it still adequate to reflect the needs to compete in the international market? Yes or no? Let me give you another example. So this one is a clear example. Just throw it out of the window. And one predominant example to my mind is the German tax system, right? Don't think about it. It's too complex. We created a monster. We tried to fix every little bits and piece there and trying to keep everyone as equal as even possible and to treat him in the right manner. But it's too complex. So just throw it out of the window. Don't think about it twice. And the same applies for this one. Let me give you another example. What about a fortress in an age of drones? In the Middle Ages, a fortress was a great thing. At the age of drones, it can be blown up in minutes. Am I saying throw the fortress to the bin? By no means, because this one could be upgraded. Just put a drone protection net on top of it, and you're good. So no need to throw it away, just to upgrade it. And this is just, for sure you have other weapons to hammer this down completely, for sure. But just that we think and are conscious about things that need to be better kept in place because it provides a value, things that we can upgrade, and things that we simply should throw to the bin. Conscious things can be managed. Unconscious biases manages us. And why is this so dangerous with let's say, the old things that are inherited to us and are so deeply embedded in the culture? Because we're not conscious about it. The example was during the time of the Constitution, it was 1949 where this was implemented. And most of us here in this room were not even born by then. Even though I look like I was born by then, it was far ahead of my time. And even my parents were quite young. So for most of us, it's 2 or 3 generations away in the past. And we're not conscious about it. We were born with it. And to challenge these things that are with us over and over is, to my mind, of an utmost importance. I said we are very good in stability. We are less advanced in innovation. But what does it need to create innovation? Do we need capital? Yes. And we need a framework, and we need the mindset. Capital, do we need more capital to finance private equity, to finance venture capital? To my mind, not necessarily. There's enough capital out there in the market. You just need to tap on it and find the right arguments, presentation, convince investors, and the funds will flow. What about the mindset? You can't change the mindset straight away. What if somebody comes to you and saying, look, you be more innovative now? Doesn't work that way. But what we can do is change the framework. And one of the things, and I loved it when you said that, facilitating innovation with students, with new staff members coming to the markets. I like it. Framework universities is one of the tools we can apply to show what entrepreneurial spirit means to the investors, to have an international exchange with the US, with other parties, to take the most out of it. But it's also a question challenging and thinking about regulation, challenging and thinking about laws that are in place for decades. Are they still good? Do they still serve our needs? Or are we just walking away with a Siemens CNET in the age of iPhones? This needs to be a conscious decision. And for sure, if we change that specific area, be sure mindset will follow. And just based on my experience, I had a lot of discussions around the globe. I was working in Asia in the private equity space, in the infrastructure space. I was working in the US and in Germany. The decision-making speed of the Americans, I don't want to put it too glamorous, but it's impressive. When you talk to a private equity investor and saying, look, I need a decision here, the facts are X, Y, Z, I need a decision now. He will immediately say to the left or to the right. And even if the money is gone, he said, oh shit, we'll have another idea. If you're saying to the European senior management guy, oh, look, we're sitting together, I need a decision now. He says, oh, whoa, wait, hang on for a second, right? And so this is mindset. And you can't change it by just telling the people, change your mindset. You need to work on the framework, and the mindset will follow. Let me try to close with a short summary. First of all, capital seeks stability first, without a doubt. That's 90% of the equation, and that's exactly what the investors love to have. And that's exactly the reason why across the world, almost all the investors would like to invest in Germany. So we should just avoid one thing, throwing stability and safety and security in the bin. We shouldn't do that. This makes us investable and guarantees our future for the years to come. But there's also another element, innovation, that is driven by venture capital and private equity. And this will decide whether we can be squeezed between two giants playing Games of Thrones, or whether we can manage to have our own EDP system, our own IT systems, our own capital markets, being at least somewhat independent from two giants playing Game of Thrones. Back to private markets. Private markets are a fundament for any geopolitical activities. And what we are talking about here today is not only a commercial thing, an investor's thing. It's a geopolitical discussion. We can contribute or step out of it. Real estate, infrastructure, venture capital, and private equity might facilitate our future, or we can leave this chance aside. Let me close with a quote from Steve Jobs. It was given at a commencement speech at the Stanford University about 20 years ago. If you ask me, it was one of the greatest speeches that have ever been given on this planet Earth. It was about innovation, about culture, about how to get entrepreneurial success. And it was also about attitude. And what I'm trying to do day in, day out, follow an attitude that follow that pattern. And I would also like to encourage you to follow the same pattern. Stay hungry, stay foolish, and don't settle. Thank you very much for your attention.